Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Good morning.
But Matt, I agree with you. LeBron is the greatest of all time.
He's doing things nobody else has done at 40 years old.
I think
it's undeniable.
I'm going to make a statement. It's not going to be as, I'll preface it by saying it's not going to be as bad as Troy's statement about soccer that almost broke the show, right? He made an outrageous, and he doubled down, which I totally respect that. But I'm going to say something, and it's not as ludicrous. We were talking a little bit about that in the pre-show discussion about Magic Johnson, that LeBron could be a kind of a version of Magic Johnson. He could play multiple positions, as Troy mentioned, and all that stuff. But I would contend, right, in my opinion, was Magic Johnson as athletic? No. Is there anybody in the NFL who's as athletic as or NBA as LeBron? But I contend he was a better basketball player and better for a team. And I'll just say two reasons. Number one, I mean, I think this championship thing is over. Troy left. I hope, Matt.
Keep going. Keep cooking, Dan.
Yeah. I think this championship thing is overdone. I think, most of these guys, they're not going to win a championship until they have a couple other good guys on the team. I mean, that's what they have, whether it be LeBron or Magic Johnson, who had good players. But when you look, and I don't know how many championships LA had or versus LeBron, but you look at what Magic Johnson, for those who are old enough or who have watched a lot of YouTube, what he did for a team as a point guard. Could he dribble? Do I think he could dribble 4 or 5 times better than LeBron? Yes. Do I think he could pass the ball 10 times better than LeBron? Yes. Did either of them have a phenomenal shot? No, but Magic could hit it, right? And could he play low? I remember when Magic Johnson, he played center.
There's this famous story about them, like in the playoffs, right? When he's kind of young and they lost a center, and he goes up to the guy and he's like, "I'm playing the 5" or whatever. And they won the game with him as center. And I mean, he was what, Magic Johnson 6'10", 6'8".
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's tall.
When you think about it, if you look at all these players that are making the buku bucks in the NBA today, I think they owe it to, partial. I'm sure the media, all that, but they owe it to 2 players. A kid from French Lick, the legendary Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson, because that rivalry started when they were in college, and then it extended. And up until then, I mean, they were doing NBA games on 20-minute delay in the playoffs until those 2 came. But I mean, if you seriously look at Magic Johnson and his career and his length of his career, I'll tell you what, you can make a heck of a case he's a better basketball player. I'm not talking about, people get caught up in the athletics part of it. But if you look at what Magic, from a pure basketball, I don't think it's that close. I mean, because when you look at, this guy played point guard.
Yeah.
He played point guard at 6.
He's a point guard. Well, I just Googled his height, and under the description said power forward in a point guard spot.
Whatever you want to put him in. But I tell you, and he handled the ball all the time. So anyways, shout out to whoever. Troy, did you leave because of my?
Sorry, my internet went out. But yeah,
sure.
LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time. So,
that was a gentle protest, man. He just left.
No, it's fun. It's fine. You can always. That's why I tell my kids, take the coward's way. Someone's bullying you. You can always run away.
Yeah.
You can always run away.
Matt, this
Listen,
is sad. I think real quick on the volatility. I'm looking at yesterday. The thing that comes out yesterday is we go down. VIX is saying, you know what? You can go down 50 or 60 points. I'm going to the lake, right? I don't care, right? And then you look at today, we're up 3 points. VIX is down further.
I
So
know.
we could be, you think about Thursday's lows, I think 1620 in the cash VIX. And I think, Troy, this could be as BB King, encouraging you to try to get BB King into the morning show, says the thrill is gone. VIX has been known when it gets to the low levels, it can hang for a while, right? It doesn't hang that much on the upper end, but it can hang in the 16, 17s for a while here. And I know that would be tough. Troy, how could you handle a whole summer of 16, 17 VIX?
Well, you know what? I mean, yesterday was a painful day, partly because I had positions on that did not benefit from being down 80, but also
that's very, I like how he said that, man. I like how he said that.
That honestly, we're joking. That framing, Troy, that's what I've been trying to do too. Like, it's not me. It's not if my trades like it or they don't. If the positions didn't benefit, the positions did benefit. Try to depersonalize it. It's tough.
That is a professional answer. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so we're down to 80 at some point, and that's bad enough. But man, when Vol doesn't care that you're down 80, there's nothing worse.
Doesn't even blink.
There's nothing worse. I mean, Trump played it perfectly. President Trump played it perfectly because just let everybody get back to all-time highs and then do the exact same thing. That's right. That was his game plan was.
He's doing good.
Yeah, it worked. So didn't work for me yesterday, but it worked for some people, I'm sure. So I don't know. I mean, what do you do if you knew, Dan? I mean, say you had to put not directional. Say you had to sell credit at 9:32 yesterday morning, knowing the only thing you knew was that we were going to be down, and Vol was going to not care. What would you do in that situation?
And I had to sell credit.
You have to sell credit 9:32. You can't be directional. It's neutral. So some sort of like neutral.
Oh, neutral trade. Okay,
yeah.
Neutral.
What would you?
Well, that's a tough one because you're talking. The lowest vol we've had in a little, we're still relatively low vol and range bound. Boy, I would stick with, and I couldn't just do a credit spread, right? I mean, you're kind of left with a.
So otherwise, you could say you sell calls, but we knew that. If you only knew that vol was going to be down and the market was going to be down.
Yeah. Well, I mean. Yeah, I guess, and my first thing was going to say, have an iron condor, but maybe have the call side, the short call, have a higher delta than the short put, but then that would be getting me a little bit short delta. So I'm kind of breaking the rules of this question here. You know what? Or you could do a split strike, like you ever do like a skip strike call butterfly? Deltas aren't bad, but it just cuts a little bit of the short deltas out of a call credit spread by adding a vertical debit spread in front of it, maybe half the width. So if you do a 20 wide call credit spread, let's say to 20 delta, you can cut the sting of the delta a little bit by doing a 10 wide where the shorts are the same on the original credit spread, and then you do a call vertical debit spread. So it's a broken wing butterfly, but at least it has no risk on the downside, but your deltas are reasonable. You maybe 1 to 1.5 deltas short. I think something like that, but it was more, I mean, to me, it was more the last 2-3 weeks be more long Vega. The vols were low, but yesterday was a good day for the long Vega. Well, especially if you were I should say it was really a better day for long Vega if you were a little short deltas, which I think most people were. I don't think how you could, right? If you had any double calendars on, maybe Matt and Troy or whatever, with the market last week, you had to be short some deltas, right? I would think.
Yeah.
Depending on when you put it on. And so when you go down, when it went down yesterday, the vols at least came from 1632 on Friday. You got near 18. your short deltas and long Vega, that was that was the best day in 3 weeks for long Vega, whether you had if you were, because I would, but wouldn't you say, I would say most of the option disc or the Discord, wouldn't you say they were long Vega short, well, I shouldn't say everybody long Vega, but the ones that do the DCs and those type of things, you had to be short delta.
Well,
right?
I mean, here's the thing. There's so much, the Discord is so big, and there's people doing everything.
Oh, true.
So
right.
it's tough to gauge an overall like that. But I think what I saw, a lot of what I experienced this morning too, this is not exactly answering your question, but I put on a few DCs last night towards the end of the day after the dip, and the vol crush from last night to this morning, pretty severe. At least looking at them pre-market, they look crushed already, which is, VIX is, to your point, what are we at right now in the VIX? It's down back to 17.
Yeah.
And I think I probably put them on, a buck higher. Probably.
But man, how about your DCs coming in over? Did you have any DCs coming in?
I didn't have I think I only have one longer term.
Okay, so you didn't have anything coming in. Okay, coming into Monday. Did you try?
I didn't put any on because of the short week. So I didn't put any like stuff for this week on last week, because there was a day and a half holiday. So I think there's some people that probably did. I think there were some people trading intraday DCs on Wednesday and Thursday. But yeah,
I just did on the automation. I just did just as I'm getting comfortable, I did a Thursday, a 15-day calendar. 15-day calendar, which I'm going to have Matt look at today, but a 15-day calendar, maybe four wide or 5 wide, but where the short is a 42 or a 40 delta.
Okay.
Right? And that way you're starting about 20 points under the market.
Yeah.
Which is the goal. So on that, putting that on Thursday, by Friday, that particular trade was up 9 or 10% pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because you had the perfect storm. You had the market going down towards that strike, and vol was up. So it was
time moving on your side.
And time moving. So that was a calendar under the market. And those are nice because you can place a calendar. Let's say you put the short at a 40, 42 delta. You can put a calendar 30 points under the SPX, and your deltas are basically neutral. So you can extend, you have more room to the downside without committing the deltas in case you're wrong and it goes up.
Yeah.
But those have worked decent the last 2 or 3 weeks, because even with the market going up, those calendars, they overall they've done pretty well. But I like the calendars a little bit under the market, because your deltas are still neutral. If you ever look at that, maybe a 4 wide or 5 wide.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird day. I hope that we don't have another day like that. I hope that if we drop 80, Vol would be unhappy with that. But anyway, I was looking at my brokerage a while ago. It's funny to me. I don't see this as much anymore, because SPX, at least on some brokerages, SPX is like updating the options prices pre-market.
Yeah.
But still, sometimes you get weird. Like right now,
yeah.
I'm showing like a really bad mark. And like,
I don't look at it till it opens.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy how a lot of the brokers still haven't really figured that out. It sounds like from when you went to OIC though, Troy, the brokers know that there's more demand for shoulder sessions, and they're starting to add more in general, that there's going to be more shoulder sessions or pre-market or extended. Because right now IB is kind of the only one that has the full scope, and I think Fidelity, and then Tradier has a partial morning. But I mean, I think they're coming around to that there's there's options demand for index options, pre-market. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see. But to the tests we go. So let me share my screen real quick. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is yesterday's trade. I call it a fragile 1 DTE Condor.
Yeah.
Which means you should not trade this. But it's a 35 delta put spread, 40 delta call spread, 10 wide. And the entry was put at 244, 15% of the portfolio, max VIX 18, move up of a min of 20.25%. Then you exit by either taking 50% profit, taking an 80% stop loss, or exiting at 230 day of expiration. We talked about yesterday how this is fragile because if you move the time around, really if you move much stuff around, it doesn't perform as well. Shout out Stephen V. Stephen V in the chat.
Shout out.
The guy just takes bad tests and he turns them into good tests. So I give you Stephen's less fragile.
Less fragile.
I love it. Wow. I mean, listen, first thing I'm noticing is the capture rate.
Mm-hmm.
Capture rate change is significant.
I think I like this because he took it and he kept a lot of the stuff we had. So it is still a 35 delta put spread, 40 delta call spread, 10 wide. He opens the trade at 106. You guys can take the test here. I'm going to take the test now and trade it, or not trade it, share it. Who knows? I might trade it. I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to put it in our show discussion in Discord.
Okay, and so the slippage is different too, but he's got 10 cents stop loss slippage on the Qs, which that feels pretty healthy for Qs.
It is arguably more realistic than mine was, which was 30 cents slippage on the Qs. That I think this was probably more realistic.
You
Who
had
knows?
Okay, I couldn't remember. I know it was a lot.
But what did he change? Well, it's 106, 15% of the portfolio. This is one contract. So we're back to one contract. You guys can take it and test it and trade test different allocations if you want. Ignore margin requirements. I don't think is needed in this for the one contract. He's starting with 10,000 capital. Tom, shout out. I'm going to send some real turds of a test to Steven to polish them, as we all should. And exit at 50% profit target, stop loss, 80%, exit trade 230. So it's the same thing. I'm going to run this real quick and add what we did yesterday with 2 hits at the profit target, especially with slippage being lower.
So what exactly did he, what are all the things he changed? The main thing, Troy, besides
moved up the time quite a bit. Yeah.
Oh, the time.
The time is what was it from what time to what time?
From 244 down to 106.
Okay.
PM.
So you're getting more, well, technically you have more theta, right? A little more, right. A little more. So that little change increased it quite a bit. Now it went down to 2.5. That's fine. It's still a great trade. So, guys, I mean, I like that. I almost like this so much that I wouldn't mind putting this in the small account repertoire. Thoughts on this? I like it. I like it because, again, it's diversification to me for the 0-day stuff. Because here you're coming in towards the end of the day. You can get some, maybe if there's decay there, but you have a little bit less gamma, right? So for someone doing, it takes the foot off the pedal for, a little bit less gamma. But I think the tough thing for a 0-day person to do is we're doing the dreaded overnight, right? We're doing the overnight. But again, you might, on this, you might, because you're putting it on 1 o'clock or 1:15, you may be up pretty good. This would be one that I'll tell you where I would cheat on this. Again, for me, it's just getting used to, but And I found that the less I cheat, the more I rely on the tools better. But if you're putting on a 115, there's a decent chance, you could be up 20%, 30% by the end of the day. Not always, right? I mean, because the earlier you do it. So, but I mean, what's nice about this for a small account, I think overall, it's a good risk reward, right? If you just faint, you're not going to lose. What's this example from yesterday? Or no, Wednesday, July 2nd, 282 credit. But it's still, the margin on this would still be close to 700, right?
Yeah.
So it's still a $700 trade. So the most you could, the most you could lose is your $700. Most you can make is, so you could lose like a little over 2 times what you make.
And most of the time, if you look at it with that stop, you're getting out roughly about credit collected.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So 73% win rate, but you're losing only what you collected. That is a strategy for a winning trade.
Yes. You're keeping the you're not letting the loser, the 80, that's right. The 80% isn't allowing you to go. It's creating a good risk reward, the way you guys got it, 50 and 80.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, shout out, Steven. I like it.
Yeah.
And let's talk about, the big picture of building out a portfolio of small account stuff. We have DCs. We have some condors. Oh boy, I'm going, listen, I hear the bell ringing. Shout out my friend Josh, who's letting me come to the cigar shop early.
Troy's on the move, everybody.
Wait, bell, what does it mean? The bell rings. That's time to come in, or
he gets in pre-market.
Troy
has ETH in the smoking room. You're in the back room. Troy, you should just give people like a 2-second, where are you? Like you're in a cigar lounge, but you're in like members only, right?
It is
jacket, everything.
It is a members only situation. When I walked in, my display it tried to be smart and put it down all the way, so it was completely dark for a second, and I had to completely guess where my display was to make it brighter again. But
you did. You nailed it. We couldn't tell.
Exactly.
Let's talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, let's spend 15 to 20 minutes talk about this display. I'm listen. I think it's okay. I mean, I'm amongst friends. This is the cigar lounge. You guys, many people have asked. This is Smoky Cigar Lounge. They don't open till 10, but if you stay outside like a beggar, sometimes they will let me in. So shout out. This is the members area.
Fish tank. Extended ESH, extended smoking hours.
Yeah. So
extended show hour.
I'm still kind of troubled with no coffee at all. I mean,
well, I've got the coffee outside. Actually, I just left it. But now I've got to go get that here in a second. Anyway, but you think about small account challenge. We have DCs. We have some stuff. Mark Anderson's the 0 day, the SPX that you set it and forget it. And now we've got longer dated, 1 day out. But now we're starting to build stuff to where you kind of will have theta on a lot of times throughout. So you're kind of, you think about a portfolio of stuff. A lot of times you're going to have theta on. You're going to have Vega. You're going to have as many Greeks working for you as can be.
That's right.
That makes a good portfolio in my mind.
And you could, if somebody says, hey, I'm a 0 day credit spread person, right? And I'm used to 0 day. You can do a little bit less size here. Get used to it, right? It's going to feel most of the time for a 0 day person, this type of trade is going to feel, nicer. I mean, it's going to be because of the gamma. You're not getting nailed every time. You're getting nailed a little bit slower, right? You're still getting nailed. I mean, let's not even think that a 1 day trade doesn't have high gamma, right? It's going to move. The deltas are going to move against you. But I think it's a nice, like Troy, I like the diversification. I like that theta overnight. And again, sometimes you might have a surprise if you check at the end of, because Steven put it earlier, you're putting it on earlier. By the end of the day, you might be up a nice,
Well, and you can here's the thing.
Oh,
we
yeah,
could,
you can bet, right?
we can back test ratcheting it
That's a good.
and seeing
And why?
what
Why
that
can,
does.
why can we backtest something?
This is a world-class back tester. So you could do various time actions and profit actions.
And 1 second, Matt.
Yeah.
It's a world-class back tester. I wish we had a world. This is for Tom. I wish
Well, and
we had a world-class.
what did you used to do? What
Yeah,
did you used to do?
I wish we had a world-class back tester when I was in the pits.
There it is.
At the
Shout out to
everybody.
Tom.
To
At the
everybody
CBA.
who was looking for a drink,
There it is.
we want to help facilitate that adoption of Mega. So, anyway, so I mean, I like it. I tell you where we're heading. I mean, I've got a couple more to show this week, and we can keep improving on this one as well. But I like that we've looked at DCs, we look at 0-day stuff, and we're starting to look at some longer dated stuff.
Yeah.
And man, that's a nice little.
It's super interesting because I feel like 2022 was when 0-day exploded, and there was 0-day action before then. But in May of 2022, the option of doing SPX 0-day every day started being a reality. And before then, it was a couple days a week. Now it's been every day. And for 9 months, I mean, 2022 was the perfect storm for starting 0-day. There's these back tests. I mean, so many back tests of all different stripes and colors because of the way vol was in 2022. It was really nice. And then, I've seen a lot more 1 DTE come into the mix, especially with the relationship between realized vol and implied vol, where, people put on 0 DTE, they get blown out, they see it revert, feels bad. Check out 1 DTE. Is there more room? There's a possibility of doing condors on many DTEs. Like, you don't see a lot of 5 DTE condors, but you could see a lot of 7 DTE condors. There's, I think a lot of folks did the really long dated stuff, and they would do them maybe as strangles without the other leg of doing 30-day or 45 DT or very, very wide condors. But it seems like there's just this middle ground of like above 1 DT, below 30 DTE that like it's just not talked about very much.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some good trades out there.
Hey,
there's got to be some great back tests out there.
Have you guys seen much like, 0 DTE, 1 DTE, but start it even earlier? Let's say you started it at 9:30 in the morning with the idea being do a 1 DTE, but get out of it in 0-day. Trying to have your have you seen how have those tested? And I was going to say, before you answer that, Troy, would there be a chance? I'm just thinking on Steven's test here. You put it where you have 1 contract on, correct? At the most.
Yeah.
What if you tweaked it real quick to put where you could have 2 trades on? So because it goes daily, so it'll let you pick up 1 more. Would that? I'm just curious how that would do to the testing. Is that possible that you can have 2 going?
Well, do you mean like putting 2 contracts on?
Well, you're saying on your thing, you can only have 1 trade on at a time. Is that correct?
No. Sorry. So the max open trades is that you only can have 1 of these positions on at any given time. Max contracts just means you're only doing 1 contract spreads at a time.
But could you put it at 2 open at one time?
Well, right now we have it to where you can have technically two open because we don't have any max open trades on.
Oh, I got you.
There's no max, and so you could do it too. It could open. In fact, we could probably find one real quick.
But you got X amount of. I see. It's the margin is keeping you from. Well, he's saying ignore.
The ignore margin is, I think, probably not needed for this. But basically what this is saying, like, you could open these 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
But just only ever do 1 contract spread. Yeah, for each.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. And
So
so,
during
yeah,
this testing, there were times where two were on at the same time.
probably if the criteria met, if you had 2 days in a row where we had moved up a min of
Oh, that's the
0.4%.
kicker. Yeah, I got you. I forgot about that
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yeah. Now someone, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, Charles Allinger, son of Ricardo Louis Alagras, that's quite the name. This is part of the thing that you have to test with any of this stuff is the time seems to be really, really sensitive with any of this. We talked about this yesterday, so go back and look at the video from yesterday. You want to make sure that you can find some times that work pretty well. And if you find some that work pretty well, there are, if it truly just falls apart besides this 1 minute per day, that's suspect. If you can find some that like maybe don't perform as well, but maybe it doesn't kill it, you might, it's small enough to where if you guys are interested, you might want to forward test it and see what it looks like, because you can get a sense real fast in these type of tests to say, okay, I should win 73% of the time. I probably shouldn't lose more than 2 times. So if suddenly you're testing this and trading it and you're losing 3 times, that would be something that you might want to consider, like, okay, maybe this really isn't a good trade as this minute is indicating. Matt, do you have thoughts on that?
I am a big believer in trying to avoid magic minute disease. And so I think the idea, if you have a back test and the capture rate goes down by half, if you change it by 1 minute, I'd want to understand why that is, and so I haven't played around with this one with the minutes. So yesterday, yeah, Charles is exactly right in the chat. He said finding a strategy that works versus a profitable backtest output. There are times when, for whatever reason, 1 minute it breaks it. Like there's 1 minute that works, and then the minutes around it don't. And I call that magic minute. I think in real life, what I have observed with magic minute is the slippage is just higher for some reason around that minute. And I did some 1DTE that entered in the morning and exited that same day, what you're talking about, Dan. And that's just what I found, is that like the slippage at that minute was notably higher. It wasn't a super high capture rate anyway. Yeah. And when I used the slippage to inform my back testing, the strategy just it closely mirrored the minutes around it, which weren't as good. So, I think it's always worth testing not just the minute, but like the idea of, if a strategy has edge, then if you change the deltas a little bit and change the minutes a little bit, if it's still directionally close to the same, if you're getting 70 to 80 to 90% of the output in terms of capture rate and whatnot, then that's what I'm looking for, rather than a single back test. So again, I'm just speaking generally. I have not done anything with this back test other than look at it right now. So I'm not saying that applies to this or not. I'm just talking philosophically about how I personally approach things. So,
and I would say it works both ways. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's a good comment. Finding a strategy that works versus profitable backtest output. You can have a thing that you find a great backtest and you find that it doesn't trade as well. Those we argue as people who have the backtester, sometimes is rare. It totally depends on the backtest though, because there are backtests that are not set up realistically.
Yes.
And they look great and they will never perform well. They just never. It's never going to work in real life.
Yep. And if you want to learn how to set up more robust, rigorous back tests, we have an overwhelming amount of resources. So when people subscribe to OO, the first thing they should get is an email, and it should guide them on that resource journey. The best thing to do is take Backtesting Bootcamp, which has been completely redone. And we'll walk you through the thought process and the philosophy behind the various choices, because this is a tool that has a lot of options. Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. And Bootcamp will help you create more realistic, rigorous backtests. And so I know people don't like to read the manual. Like, I get it. But if you want to create more robust and more rigorous backtests, then Bootcamp will get you started on that journey. We've got 200 YouTube videos, extensive help documentation, and a Discord with literally hundreds of people to help you chop up your backtests. And all that stuff is part of the sub. You know, it's all free. So if you're serious about doing this, there's a huge ecosystem to plug into. So
there's a lot of at least once a month I'll see someone sell a 90 delta put spread that's 90 days out.
Yeah.
And they take 5% profit target.
Yeah.
And they say, I found the perfect strategy.
Right.
And that's never going to work.
I've
I
got
get those,
a lot on
yeah.
that strat, on that in the money. That's where some of the
in the
people come
money
out of the
stuff.
caves with that in the money high delta. Like
I found a 90 delta.
Yeah, I love that. I can't lose on this thing. And
listen,
yeah. And so this what I would say though is with this test, I'm interested in this because again, it could absolutely be terrible. And like you said, I am suspect with the minutes. That's why we say it's less fragile. We didn't say it was perfect. We said it was less fragile than yesterday's fragile test. But I would say that if you find the concept interesting and you have money to test, then there's a way you can forward test this without losing a lot of money, you know, in the sense that, you know, this is with that stop, you're losing $200-300. There's a lot more expensive ways, you know, that do things. And yeah, people sell. Every test fails eventually. This is why MAR test going back to 2013 over 2 is like a legendary status
at a good allocation.
At a good allocation.
Yeah. I say one thing on this, just one last quick thing, and this, I think the main thing for someone, you know, maybe starting out, you've got to develop calluses on your hand. You gotta do 15 of these. You can't, if you're coming into this saying, I'll see how this does. If it gives me 8 out of 10 winners, I will humor it and let it go. No. And as long as if you look at this, as long as you're on any kind of credit spread thing, it comes down to one important thing. Is the back test, at least to me, when I do lose, right? If I'm losing, like Troy said here, maybe what'd you figure? 2 times, you know, to me, 2 times, maybe a little bit more than that on your losers, that you can live with. You're not going to freak out on that, right? But if you had something that had no rails and you're going to lose, you know, on a credit spread thing, I mean, this is a pretty good risk reward. So you're not going to be losing like a 10 delta 7 or 8 times that. But I think it's the biggest thing for a beginner is you're going to put it on. You see the win rate. You're going to let it run at least 20 times to start, right? And you're going to keep your paws off it, right? And that's not easy. That to me is a bigger thing, right? That because I find myself wanting to, you know, from the years of what do you call it? What's the word you use for arbitrary trading, or what's the word?
Arbitrage?
No, trading where non-mechanical.
Oh, discretionary.
Discretionary, that's the word. Discretionary trading. But I'm getting better at trusting it, but I'm getting better at trusting the mechanical back testing by leaving my hands off it, right?
Yeah.
And not always trusting the data, and not always my instincts a lot of times just pause this one. I don't like how the weather looks tomorrow. I'm pausing. Some of that you can do, but you can, you know, you got to trust it. But see, if you're a beginner, my challenge is let it go. As Troy said, small capital, but let it go 20, 30 times. You know, let the trade, leave the pause off it. And you can do that if the capital is small, right? If it's very, you know, small account.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, we'll continue on. Sad news, tomorrow we will not have a show.
Oh.
I forgot as we were texting, or as we were talking, my doctor texted and said, please confirm your appointment for tomorrow at 8:30. So Shout out doctors.
Shout out,
Getting,
shout out, doctor.
Shout
getting-
out automated texts.
Shout out,
Yeah.
automated. Yeah.
getting blood work done. Don't worry about it. Nothing to be fearful. As I tell my son, who's deathly afraid of needles. I wish I could live stream it. It's a HIPAA thing. I would do the show from there. But
It's definitely a HIPAA thing. They won't let you for themselves.
yeah, do you know what's funny is going into the blood work stuff, your whole life you fast, right? You fast from midnight to whatever the rule is they tell you to do. You know what my doctor told me last time? She said, I don't worry about it. I said, what? She's like, the data now, I like my doctor for this reason. She like looks at data. She's like, the data says like, why are we getting unrealistic? Like you're not fasting the majority of your life. So why are we getting?
That's kind of a Telebian response.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see what's in your blood after you ate what you normally eat.
So basically eat as much, eat your normal way later.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll do the normal, like 2 a.m. brisket, gabagool.
Oh gosh. There it is.
So anyway,
get the smoker fired up.
Get the smoker fired up. All right, boys. Listen, have a great day. We'll be back Thursday. And I've got one I'm going to throw out that I've been looking at. It's not a great test by any means, but it's an interesting. I was thinking about the idea of Rob and Maria when they were on, the idea of really trying to say like, what would it look like if you only put 50 cents or $50 on a $5,000 account, if you only risked that. So we're going to look at a trade that only risks $50.
Okay.
It's an orb trade. And I think there's some ideas there. It's not ready for prime time yet, but it's worth talking about. So anyway, guys, listen, have a great rest of the day. May our DCs, may something happen immediately at 9:32 to make the market pump vol at least $3 or $4.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.